Elon Musk has never lost his excitement in Tesla and other companies he created. Maybe that's why his fans love him so much. Now, here are some of Elon Musk's most inspiring interviews I cut together for your enjoyment.
We really wanted to make zero-emission vehicles, and the ZEV credit thing is helpful in us succeeding in doing that. I mean, we could succeed, I think, without the ZEV credits, but the ZEV credits definitely help.
You wouldn't have done it you would have done it if the credits weren't there.
Correct. But nonetheless, we're still grateful for the credits, and they're certainly helpful.
I'm sure.
But I mean, the car would be profitable even without the ZEV credits.
Is the company profitable today? When is it going to be profitable?
Well, if Tesla if all Tesla did was make sports cars, if we were just a niche sports car maker and sold powertrains to other car companies, we would be profitable today. So we're running right now around 20 to 22% gross margin. So, any company that's running sort of on the order of 20% gross margin can be profitable if their business, as long as they don't try to grow their business too fast. But in our case, we are growing our business very fast. We're talking about increasing our production volume from roughly 500 cars a year to 20,000 cars a year.
Yeah.
That's a factor of 40 increase in 3 years.
Yeah. So in 3 years, do you think, are you going to be profitable? Are you telling Wall Street you're not going to be profitable for the next 3 years? Or?
Correct. Yeah, we have. Yeah. And it's not really possible to be profitable. Because essentially what we're saying is we're going to take $500 million in R&D and tooling and that kind of thing and spend that over the next, say, roughly 10 quarters.
A little bit of a foundation here. 2 days into your physics program at Stanford University, you quit school to start a company called Zip2, a media company,
right?
Which you sold a few years later for a paltry $307 million. Then 4 years later, eBay buys PayPal. Is that correct? A company that you established or helped to establish as one of the creators?
With a few others, yeah.
And now you've taken those two enormous successes and you've set your ambition on space. How did you go from online payment systems to building a spaceship, essentially?
Well, when I graduated from college, there were 3 areas that I thought would be most impactful to the future of humanity. The three were the internet, space exploration, and then changing the economy from a mine and burn hydrocarbon-based economy to one which is solar electric, which I think is going to be the primary but not exclusive means of energy and transportation.
Have we screwed it up so badly here on this planet that our only hope is to build a new civilization out there?
No, not at all. I'm quite optimistic about the future of humanity on Earth.
You are?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what is the benefit to humanity then to inhabit Mars, which is really what is an ambition of yours?
Well, I think if you consider two paths, one where we're forever confined to Earth and the other where we're a spacefaring civilization out exploring the stars, I think the latter is far more exciting and will result in a richer and more diverse human experience.
How can you do that better than NASA?
Well, NASA is a customer of ours. So there's I think a confusion in the public mind that perhaps a company like Spacex is competing with NASA, but in fact, NASA is a customer of ours. So we're actually providing services to NASA, launch services. And when the shuttle retires in 2010, so starting in 2011, SpaceX's rocket will replace the space shuttle in servicing the space station with astronauts and cargo transportation.
The name of your rocket ship is called the Falcon Explorer. Is that it?
Well, the Falcon 9.
The Falcon 9.
Yeah, it's the rocket, and then the spaceship is Dragon.
Dragon.
Yeah. So the Falcon 9 rocket lifts the Dragon spaceship, and this Dragon spaceship is what goes to the space station and then returns to Earth.
So it transports the Falcon as almost cargo, then?
So the Falcon 9 is kind of like the semi, or something like that. And the Falcon 9 booster rocket takes the Dragon spaceship to space and drops it off. Then it goes to the space station, docks with the space station, transfers astronauts or resupply, cargo, whatever the case may be, and then the Dragon spacecraft returns to Earth. Free speech is actually is extremely important, and it's bizarre that we've come to this point where, free speech to be a left or liberal value, and yet we see from the in quotes left a desire to actually censor, and that seems crazy. I mean, I think we should be extremely concerned about anything that it undermines the First Amendment. There's a reason for the First Amendment. The First Amendment is because people came from countries where they could not speak freely, and where saying certain things would get you thrown into prison. And they were like, well, we don't want that here. And by the way, in many parts of the world, including parts of the world that people might think are relatively similar to the United States, the speech laws are draconian.
England is quite different.
I won't name any countries, but
England, why are we protecting them? They have no First Amendment. It's very easy to prove libel in England, whereas here it's almost...
I love England, but...
Yeah, I do too, but I wouldn't want to say the wrong thing. Or
yes,
you could be sued easier. There are law in France. I think if you deny the Holocaust, which I think is abhorrent, but I also think it should be part of free speech.
Right.
You can be thrown into jail. Okay, so this...
I really can't emphasize this enough. We must protect free speech. And free speech only matters, it's only relevant when it's someone you don't like saying something you dislike, because obviously speech that you like is,
yes,
that's easy. So it's the thing about censorship is that, sure, for those who would advocate it, just remember, at some point, that will be turned on you.
You're definitely one of the most popular people on Earth. Is popularity a pleasure or a liability for you?
Well, it makes it difficult to go buy a coffee at the corner store, that's for sure. So it's hard to go around places, you know. I used to be able to just, you know, go to the store or walk down the street, and now it's quite difficult to do that. It's hard for me to go to a restaurant. And if I do, I just try to find a corner table and that's kind of dimly lit or something where I can sort of stay out of the way.
You said that you cannot be and don't want to be alone. I very much share that feeling.
Yeah.
Where does it come from?
I think it's just a natural human reaction. I mean, most people don't.
A lot of people are happy if they are alone.
I really? That's, I think most people are not happy being alone.
Do you feel lonely?
I mean, there are times when I feel lonely, yes. But I mean, I think it's pretty basic. Like if I'm, say, working on this Starship rocket down at, you know, South Texas, and I'm just staying in my little house by myself, especially if I forget my dog, you know, if my dog is not with me, then I feel quite lonely because I'm just in a little house by myself with not even a dog.
Do you see any danger that Elon Musk could be regulated because of
regulated
being too big?
What? Like I have too much power personally or something?
Well, I mean, if you build in many sectors that are absolutely crucial to society, very dominant.
See you on Mars, suckers. Just kidding.
That's the option then. You once said on Mars, if there's human life, there should be direct democracy.
Yes, I think direct democracy is less susceptible to corruption than representative democracy. I mean, the other recommendations that I'd say like any laws need to be short enough that everyone can read them as well. And there should be some, it should be easier to get rid of a law than make one.
You have recently presented Optimus, human robot, and you shared great expectations what that could do for the world. Could you imagine that one day we would be able to download our human brain capacity into a Optimus?
Yes. I think that is, I'm not saying this is, I think it is possible, I think, to do that. It is possible.
Which would be a different way of eternal life, because we would also download our personalities into a body.
Yes, we could download the things that we believe make ourselves unique. Now, of course, if you're not in a body anymore, that there's definitely going to be some difference there, you know. But as far as preserving our memories, our personality, if you will, I think we could do that. look at it. If somebody has evidence of aliens in a, that's not just a fuzzy blob, then I'd love to see it, love to hear about it. But I don't think there is. So, which is actually reason for concern, because you could, if any civilization in the Milky Way, in our galaxy, were to last for 1 million years, even with a speed of travel that's far below the speed of light, like a few % of speed of light, they could easily have explored and colonized the whole galaxy. So they haven't. So why not? I think the answer might be, or perhaps probably is, that civilization is precarious and rare, and that you should really think of human civilization as being like a tiny candle in a vast darkness, and we should do everything possible to ensure that candle does not go out.
So, Elon, I thought one of the interesting things for the people on X viewing this session, and the people in the audience here, is that maybe I'd give you a few of your quotes and you can comment on them. Okay, let's start with this one. Free speech. Freedom of speech is the bedrock of democracy. Yeah. Without it, America ends.
Yes, it's obviously not possible to have democratic elections if people do not have access to the information that would allow them to make the right decision on a candidate or a party. So if speech is constrained in a fundamental way, you just can't expect people to make the right decision or an informed decision, because they are prevented from being informed. I think it's a foundational element, and it's, I have to say, like, why is freedom of speech the First Amendment? Is because people came from countries where if you spoke freely, you would be imprisoned or killed. That was why they were like, you know what, we should make sure that we got that one. And remember that time when they tried to kill us back in the other country, just for saying we didn't like a political candidate? Well, let's make sure that's okay in America. So. And so actually, in a lot of parts of the world, you can't really say, most parts of the world, you can't really say what you want to say without some bad consequences. So, and sometimes people forget, like, why is the Constitution there? The Constitution there is to protect the people from the government. So, like, it's to make it hard to change things. That's why the Constitution exists. Don't forget about that. Like, don't take it for granted.
Let's try the next quote.
Yeah.
The fundamental error of socialism is shifting capital allocation from highly effective entrepreneurs to astonishingly ineffective government.
Right. I think we'll find hearty agreement in this room. So. Yeah, I think that this is definitely a stacked deck on that front. But yeah, you'll hear this sort of argument like, oh, we shouldn't have some greedy corporation do it. We should have the government do it. I'm like, well, actually, the government is just a corporation in the limit. So if the government is a corporation with a monopoly on violence. So if you're unhappy with a commercial corporation doing it, you should be actually very unhappy with the government doing it, since it is simply a corporation, the most corporate thing. You can actually easily get more sway in a company than you can, the outcome of a company, than you can in the government. So, I mean, everyone's experienced this going to the DMV. Have you said, like, do you want the DMV at scale? Probably not. Okay.
All right.
The government is the DMV at scale.
Let's try another one. Discrimination on the basis of anything other than merit is wrong.
Yeah, I think we do need to have a merit-based system Because as soon as you go down the path of you're going to discriminate on non-merit-based, then where do you stop? So yeah, I think we need to be as rigorous about merit as possible. And while it is, yeah, to me that seems like it's a foundational thing. So again, I also think this room is probably supportive of a merit-based situation. But yeah, that is, yeah, I think we should be, yeah, not discriminate on anything other than merit.
All right, good. I'm happy you agree with yourself.
Yeah, okay. I mean, exactly. I'm like, wait, who is this guy? He really sounds great.
All right, so let's look at the next one. Regulation and regulatory consistency. Like Gulliver, tied down by thousands of little strings, we lose our freedom one regulation at a time.
Yes. So this is actually a very important point that I think is not talked about enough. That laws and regulations are immortal. They don't die. Humans die, but laws and regulations can last forever. So if year after year there are more laws and regulations passed and more regulatory bodies created, eventually everything will be illegal. And that's why you see the California high-speed rail has made a tiny section that doesn't even have rail on it, for, I don't know, several $1 billion. Because everything's, at this point, California has made almost everything illegal. So you can't make progress. Now, historically, what has cleared away the cobwebs of regulation has been war. Now, we prefer not to have a war. So in order to have civilization function without war, you have to actively eliminate laws and regulations. So you have to have basically a garbage collection process for rules and regulations. That is necessary. Otherwise, you get hardening of the arteries, and over time, nothing can get done. The most poignant example that I can think of that happened this week was the sad picture of the California high-speed rail, which is, it's just billions of dollars spent for practically nothing. But it'll only get worse year after year. So we must have a regulatory sort of clearinghouse, garbage collection process. This is essential, or civilization comes grinding to a halt.
I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Thank you. Goodbye.